Hiya.
Hi,
You...
how are you? Sorry, I'm doing 12 things at the same time.
That's all right, no problem. How are you? How's your day been?
How's my day been? Um, Darling, I'm honestly, I'm so flat out at the moment. I was working all day yesterday until late filming. It's just one of those things. I love Doctor Who,
Yeah.
but it is a very demanding mistress.
Oh, I know. I know.
Because I'm an actress doing all the other things, and I'm absolutely so blessed, and I love everybody involved in it. But everybody wants a podcast these days. What is this with this podcast? I'll be in a pod before I get as many.
Oh,
Well, how are you?
yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Not too bad. Weather's been a bit poor today, but other than that, it's
Don't
been a fine.
complain. You could be in Europe.
Yeah, I know. I know.
We complain here, and everyone says, "Oh, did it?" And you go, "Okay, you want to go?" I lived in Australia. You want to go and sit through fires? No, give me the rain.
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
winter girl. I
yeah.
love it.
I do like the winter. To be fair, I do like the winter. Yeah,
I
thank
did.
you, for coming on. Anyway, it's great to have
You're
you
so
on and
welcome.
speaking with you. So I just wanted to ask you a few questions about your career, basically. Just
Right.
wanted to ask the first question. Could you tell me a little bit more about your childhood and what it was like growing up in the 50s, 60s?
The 50s, 60s growing up, I was already growing. Um, Darling, I was born in Guildford. We moved to London. My father was a writer, a campaigner, a journalist. He was extraordinary, and for all his work, he had an OBE.
Okay.
I grew up with an extraordinary childhood, huge dinner parties, as a kid, sitting there with like 6-hour dinner parties full of politicians and historians and things like that.
Mhm.
I was quite a loner as a child because I didn't see very well.
Okay.
And, I had a wonderful, I'm not going to go into every
Yeah,
detail
yeah, yeah.
because I'm not even going to write the book. It's only a time factor, but, I had, there's a hell of a lot in my life. It's not a very simple life. And so I'm doing this at speed
Yeah.
because otherwise, if I start to go through it in detail, I can see everybody in the anyway. So it was a very bohemian, wonderful, extraordinary childhood, and my parents traveled and were away a lot. And I had an older sister who was Jane, who was a top model in New York and lived
Okay.
there all her life, basically from the age of about 20.
Okay.
And she was 5'11", I was 5 foot. What happened? Did I not get fed as a child? Anyway, I then went to a tutorial school in Victoria where I met my friends of many, many, many years.
Okay.
And that's a whole story, which I'm not going to go into now.
That's fine.
I have a very private life.
Yeah, of course.
I'm one of the people you say you're going to write the book. Well, why? I've lived it. But it was an extraordinary growing up, and then growing up in a world very much of, how can I put this? I met, obviously, my best friend at tutorial school was Liza Minnelli. So
Okay.
then I'd had a whole life with famous sportsmen and politicians in the house. And then I had this next part of my life where we were just two kind of gawky kids trying to muddle along best we could. And then I had a very serious car accident, which put me in a hospital for the first time for a year.
Okay.
And then for another year where, they didn't think I'd walk, but trust me, I like shoes too much. Nothing's going to keep me down.
Okay.
I had to have my whole face rearranged. I got metal pins. I'm sort of bionic, darling. So that was, 16 to about 18-ish, 19. Okay. Then I went to America to visit my sister.
Yep.
And while I was there at a party of hers, there was a chap who decided that from MGM, who wanted me, flew my parents out.
Okay.
To see if I would sign for a 5-year contract with MGM, and I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Because my father said you can sign for 5 years and you can do one movie, you can do nothing.
Yeah.
And I hadn't really focused on one, because I'd been a dancer and I'd never really focused on, I'm going to be an actor. I wasn't one of those people. I just loved so many things. But everybody in my entire life always said, they always knew that that's where I was going to go, because I'd been doing voices.
Yeah.
Because I was so myopic as a child. Sound is my friend.
Okay.
And so as a kid, at 6, I could do Popeye. That's very scary for a parent. Suddenly, these strange voices coming, and I used to sit in the bath and practice, like my voice is an instrument, and I would see how many different things it could play. Anyway, so finally, long recovery, and that was quite a, it was a lot to go through for a young girl of that age.
Yeah, of course.
So, but I'm very resilient little creature, and you don't make what happens to you what your life is about.
Mm-hmm.
If you do, you're going to be very, very unhappy.
Yeah.
And people sometimes hold on to horrendous situations, and I've had a lot in my life.
Okay.
But you have to take them, and life is. It's not about what happens to you; it's how you deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm a great believer. You've done it. You've experienced it. You've taken what you need. Now move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And fortunately, I've taken all my friends along with me. And anyway, so we're getting close now to, so I came back from America and didn't tell anybody. But I thought, I'm going to audition for various drama schools. And my attitude was, whoever's silly enough to take me gets me. So I went to drama school, and when I came out of drama school, I went straight to work in television.
Okay.
In a very small part, and I got taken out of the small part and given a lead.
Okay.
So there you go.
Thank you for that.
That's
so just going to move on to...
that's a speedy life story for you.
That's fine. That was perfect. That was great. So just going to move on to Doctor Who. So everyone remembers you for your role as Jo Grant, playing beside the Third Doctor. Could you tell me about how you came with the role for Doctor Who, and did it involve many auditions, and was you nervous when you first started?
Yes. No, yes, no. Well, no, it didn't involve auditions. Of course, darling Richard Franklin, because there was about 500 people they saw.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard Franklin had been asked to go in and read with the perspective, not like today where you have to do everything on self-taping. We actually got to see the people.
Okay.
Which is so much better because they can really see who you are.
Yeah.
You can't really see who somebody is on Zoom.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Richard always said, he always thought that I'd audition with him, and I said no, because I was in the middle of doing a television series for the ITV, Man at the Top, which was a very groundbreaking kitchen sink drama, and they'd asked me to do it. They'd taken me out of a small part, given me the lead, and then given me the writer, who's a very famous writer, wrote another episode for my character because I won't go into it. It was quite something. So I got the call that they wanted to see me, but as it turned out, they'd actually shortlisted it out of all of the people that they'd seen to 3, but I hadn't been seen. And Barry Letts, Terence Dix said, we just feel before we actually offer it to one of those 3 that they like to see this funny little creature.
Okay.
Me. And so I just finished recording, and I think the next day, well, of course, I went to the BBC. The moment I took my great big thick glasses off, I didn't know where I was. I got incredibly lost. I got a terrible cough, so I sounded, like kennel cough. So I'm coughing, I keep with it, and I'm asking, because the BBC goes round and round in circles, and so did I.
Okay.
So by the time I got in there, I was a wacky lunatic. Anyway, so they said to me, oh, can you read the script? And I thought, if my glasses were so thick, I'd always been so teased as a child, because you young people don't know what it was like growing up with glasses that were made out of glass, because mine was so thick.
Okay.
And I was called Four Eyes and beer bottle tops. And I mean, trust me,
Mm-hmm.
it was not a good look. So I learned this wonderful life. Everything is beautiful to me. Everything's absolutely beautiful. And I don't see any hard edges. And so my sight has been my lack of sight has given me a feeling of great love for everything I see.
Okay.
Because it's also beautiful through my eyes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I thought, oh, well, if I put my glasses on, I'm going to look like Thor. I heard I'm going to be like that and change my old character once I get my glasses on, you know. Oh, I'll have a pint and a bag of crisps. Anyway, so they gave me the script, and of course, this is me. I'm in Big Finish, and everybody knows this is me, right? It's me. I smell it. I don't read it.
Okay.
So they said, oh, don't worry about reading that. So they sent me into this big rehearsal space, and they said, I want you to imagine that there's a hat stand in the corner, and on it is like a big fur hat, and we want you to, like be who you are, waiting for somebody to come into the room or whatever. And they said, we want you to look at that stand, and suddenly the hat has to turn into like this devilish type creature. Oh, that's fine. I can see anything, honey, because when you've got my eyes, I can't even see a hat stand. So it's all in my imagination.
Okay.
If you see, as opposed to me trying to see something that isn't there, I can see it straight away, because that's how my brain thinks. So I did the whole, and then they said, and then at the end, when you have to realize and start to find it really funny that actually you were only looking, or at least you think you were only looking at a hat on a hat stand. And the next day I got a call saying, would you like to play Josephine Grant?
Wow. Amazing. Amazing.
So, and Barry Letts and Terence said, I just gave them everything they wanted and more for Jo Grant, because I already had certain things which were going to be funny.
Yeah.
And I was very young, and John Pertwee was absolutely thrilled because he'd actually seen me once and thought she'd be great.
Okay.
So, and was I nervous? I'm always nervous when I work, and I'm never sure that I do anything good, but I just keep going anyway.
Yeah.
To this day, people say, oh, you must have confidence to be an actor. Are you kidding? I don't even know what confidence is. I just got guts. I just think, well, one day they may find out, but I'm going to jolly well keep going until they do. But John and I was so nervous because I was meeting Roger Delgado, Nicholas Courtney, all these people, and John Pertwee, and I'd met him. We invited me to the house with a group of people, so I'd met him not once at his home, but that was different. I'm still nervous, and then going on the filming, and I was absolutely petrified.
Yeah,
but we got on so well. So instantly, we all kind of clicked. We had the same giggly sense of humour, and John was wonderful because I think he felt very protective towards me because he found out that I couldn't see a thing, and that he'd always have to look after me, which was great for the character of the Doctor and Joe. And he would, because I was still very young and very new in the business, he taught me so much. It was like life on screen and off screen. I was learning from John. I was with him every day for lunch. We travelled everywhere. I was learning so much about the business from him. We all became very close, and we used to go to dinner at Roger Delgado's. And it was just grew and grew and grew.
Yeah.
And got stronger and stronger. And we all really cared about each other on and off screen. So I think that shows on screen.
Yeah.
You know, there was a huge bond. And it was a wonderful time because as a female, which nowadays, you know, there's lots of discussions about what it was like being a female back then.
Mm-hmm.
I was so lucky, or else I'm really stupid and didn't notice stuff. I was so lucky, Craig, because I was never left out of anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was never treated as, you know, some people say they were treated in various eras. I was treated when there was a discussion about something that didn't work or that we needed to relook at. I was always involved in the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was allowed to speak. I was allowed to voice my thoughts. And I was allowed anywhere in the BBC, and it was the most exciting. Every room there was something creative going on. So this little young head was just being, you know, full of amazing stuff. I couldn't have been luckier.
Yeah.
And then to work with the three doctors, you know, and actually work with Pat Troughton.
Yeah.
And then come back years later with Matt Smith. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, what an watch Joe grow up on television in front of you. If you think of how she started as this kind of gawky tonsy, doesn't know this, doesn't, and they watched her slowly. She was a brave little thing. She'd have a go at anything. She was the first one to ever offer her life to the doctors on 2 occasions. Yes, people misunderstood her for a while because they go, oh yeah, the one in the miniskirt that screams. No. You know, everybody screams eventually at something. If they don't, then I don't believe they've been that frightened.
Yeah.
But you know, it slowly is coming out now that, hang on, this is not quite what we thought it was. It's not quite. She's not this little, you know, big. She was as bright as a button, that girl, and very, very courageous. Terribly clumsy, asked lots of questions, but the questions I asked were questions quite often younger children, and we must never count them out of this show. Yeah, it's a family show, so you've got to start from, you know, as with my fan followings, they go to right across here 4 or 5 generations. Yeah, and so Joe also was able to ask questions, scientific questions. Mm-hmm. So that everybody could understand. And she was funny and she was a little bit naughty. Yep. Yeah. And, you know, and yet in the end, you saw this really matured woman who wanted to take everything she'd learned and take care of this planet. What a pity we're still in such a flipping mess.
I know. Is there a particular story that you love doing or had the most fun recording? Is there a favourite of yours at all?
I'm always asked that question, as you can imagine.
Okay.
And I'm going, well, how could you can imagine when you've done that many interviews, you're going to have a lot of questions.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, here we go. And I always answer it the same. Every single thing I did, every day that I spent on that, I haven't seen all those episodes since I did them. I don't sit and watch myself. Okay. You know, you saw it when it came out because it came out just before the football results, and my father was on the radio at the same time on Sports Report. You know, we were busy. And then eventually, you know, I was in the West End doing a show. So I kind of lost touch with it a bit. But now you know, it's all coming back and I'm being able to see some of the stuff. Yeah. I realized that there was something in every episode, every lot that we did, that, I mean, so many stories, and you know, there isn't just one funny story. Yeah. You know, every time there was so much happening, so much hard work, laughter, joy, things happening in our private lives. So I answered to that. I always give the one which I thought was wonderful and involved plastics. Okay. And the introduction of the master. Okay. And real Army and Navy, and also UNIT finally started to wear proper uniforms instead of those funny little safari suits. And there were some changes really being made, and a lot of the storylines weren't in your face, but underneath there was quite often something that you could take on a much more serious level.
Yep.
And so Terror of the Autons, which I thought was really scary too. I mean, I've never forgotten Harry Taub being swallowed by a black plastic chair. I mean, those were really fashionable, those things back then, those blow-up chairs.
Yeah.
Never looked at one the same again. And then the one, I think, The Green Death, which was a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Where they mimicked my arrival with the Doctor. They kind of did more or less the same thing when she meets Cliff.
Yeah.
Because there is the thing that she found the closest thing she ever could to the Doctor.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you. This is probably just going to be a quick one. You probably get asked this a lot as well. Do you have a favourite enemy that you enjoyed going against?
Well, going against Jo was actually quite compassionate to a lot of them. I mean, she gave an ogre on a banana. I think I always find this really hard because I can see all these different. I loved the Ogrons. I thought they were great.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the moment the Sea Devils came out of the sea. Obviously, I loved the Daleks when they're. Much as I love the whole concept that followed with Davros, I rather like the fact that you didn't have any human connection with the Dalek.
Yeah.
John Pertwee didn't like them at all. he didn't think they were great creatures.
Yeah.
The only problem with the Daleks, then, if the director spent too much time shooting them, walking, going around, they were like people who had escaped from an old people's home. Mm-hmm. Because they moved it. But when you actually saw and you thought there is nothing human about this, whereas most aliens seem to have something human which you can connect to.
Yes.
And so, they've all got something once again, and I mean, Omega, and I can go through. There was some terrific.
Yeah, there was.
Budget. Sometimes Barry Letts and Terence Hill say, you can tell we run out of budget there. But there was so many. Yeah, I think Sea Devils, Ogrons. I thought the Maggots were pretty good.
Okay.
Lots and lots and lots.
Yeah, thank you. So I've been lucky enough to meet you at a few conventions over the years, as well as my son, which now enjoys going. How do you find
Say hello to him for me, will you?
I will do. How do you find conventions, and what would you say is the favourite part about being part of them and attending them? Did you get that?
Convention.
So what would you say?
Say that again, darling.
What would you say was the favourite part about going to a convention and being part of it?
For me, I have such, and this is really, really. You can love people even if you don't know them, sort of thing. Yep. I always say if you can hate people and you don't know them, you can certainly love people even if you don't know them or you've only met. I have such love for the fans. Yeah. I have such gratitude to them because I think we all have to remember that this show would not be going if it hadn't been for the fans. Over, for me now, many generations. Yeah. I've watched them being born. I've watched them get married. All around the world, and it's now, I think, something like 100 countries in the world. They are some of the things, the stories, because as you know, I hug every single person that comes up. Yeah. Nobody escapes the Manning hug. And I listen to so many extraordinary stories. Doctor Who's been a show that has inspired people to go on, people like Russell T Davies, Mark Gay. You can go through a whole string. They're all working on this show and have been for years. There's something about the people who run the show are very passionate fans, and I think that keeps that love in the show, that warmth. With the fans, some of them have been hugely inspired by this show and gone on to do things, but some of them have been through very, very traumatic times. Mm-hmm. And, you realise how much that's meant to them. Yeah. And I need to embrace that with them. And I absolutely love being with the fans. I don't really enjoy going on the stage and doing the talks and da-di-da.
Okay.
I like being there with the fans. I go without lunch, anything, just to stay there and listen to some of the stories and meet some of the extraordinary fans that I've met. That's what I treasure so much.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Could you tell me, do you have any hobbies apart from being busy with events and promotionals? Do you have any hobbies you like doing?
Yes, but I'm a very speedy person. I don't know whether you've noticed. I have kind of a lot of energy, and every now and again, everybody who knows me, loves me, just wants to hit me over the head with a piece of 4x2. My children say, "Mummy, we'd forgotten how happy you are when you wake up in the morning." I say, "When you get to my age, you will be happy to wake up in the morning." But yes, I make quite complex cards. For somebody who doesn't see, I can sew in the dark because I see a picture in my head of what I've been making all sorts of things for my granddaughter. I've even learned how to knit and made little tiny handbags with lots of I made miniature handbags for Peppa Pig.
Wow.
And then she would say, "Grandma, my friend really likes the bag. Can you make..." Well, I make cushions, I make lampshades, I can fix most plumbing problems. I garden, I horse ride when I can. I have a go at anything, and I keep finding new things that I haven't done before.
Yeah. Okay, lovely.
I'm always doing things, always making
always
things.
keeping busy.
I picked a pair of boots last night because I wanted a pair of particular colour and I didn't have them, so I got my poster paints out and painted my boots.
Wow. Just one final question then before we go. With the 60th Doctor Who anniversary coming up, what are you looking forward to the most about future Doctor Who?
I don't look forward.
Okay.
I'm in the moment.
Okay.
And I don't watch spoilers.
Okay.
I go to the theatre and the cinema a lot and everything. I do not read reviews until I've seen it, because everybody's always saying, "Oh, it'll be this or what that," and then you start forming things in your brain subliminally about what your expectations are or whatever. To me, the greatest excitement, it's like, if you open off all your Christmas presents, or you've got an indication of what they are, Christmas will never be that exciting.
No.
And I'm the person that goes to the theatre and I wait, and when the curtain goes up, I have no idea what's going to happen. And so I will only be watching Doctor Who from my sofa.
Yep.
On the night that it goes out, I will watch no spoilers. I will enter into no discussions. I have absolute faith in the teams that we've had since it was brought back with Christopher Eccleston. And I absolutely don't want to know anything, because it will be a wonderful, exciting surprise.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. Thank you for coming on and speaking with me. Thank you for taking time out of your day. It's been amazing. So
you are so welcome, darling. You really are. And as I say, if I could get closer to the phone, Craig, without you having a nervous breakdown, if I could see your face.
Okay.
I don't want to know you. No, but you don't know how close I've got to get. This is very good. Yeah.
But take my hat off might be a bit better.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Recognised.
Yeah, you said
how old's your son?
My son's 10. He's 10, and he started off with the new era of Doctor Who, but he's watched quite a lot of the classics now, and he's really enjoying them. But yeah, he's got a book signed by you, which you was lucky enough to send him. So he's happy about that. And he's got a signed photo when we went to a convention as well.
Oh, well, if you want anything else, any different things, or if you send me your address, I'm more than happy to send you something.
Thank you.
For being such a wonderful support. And making this something I don't like doing.
Thank you for coming on, and apologies for the disconnection and the sound quality.
I say I really tried to get back. Take care, darling. Have a lovely day.
You too.
Give your son big hug from Granny Joe.
Thank you very much. Bye bye now. Bye.
Bye, darling. Bye.